Let's fight. If you're ready, folks, it's Friday night. Let's fight. Share it live. Smash that emoji button, folks. Let's fight. Let's fight. Let's fight. Welcome in the ring to each and every one of you, whichever page you're joining us from, profile, whichever social media app you might be on. We're happy, folks, that you're here with us on a Friday night, folks, after a holiday. Let's fight, good folks. Let's fight, let's fight, let's fight, let's fight. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got a couple things to discuss with you folks. We got a couple things to discuss with you all. Good to have all of you here with us. Brennan Thompson, Debbie Apple, good to have you here with us. Lachman Aziz, Jamal Aziz, good night to each and every one of you folks. As I said, wherever you're joining us from this fantastic evening, lots and lots and lots and lots happening, folks. A very good evening to each and every one of you. Again, we hope you're good and well, and welcome to our broadcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Pull it back, pull it back. Pull it back. Good to have each and every one of you here with us, folks. Welcome in the ring. Good to see you, folks. Well, you all know we're off of our parliamentary break, parliamentary recess as of the 10th day of October. And so, folks, everybody is out making the rounds, working the ground, doing what you got to do, bringing the issues to the people, folks, as we should as members of parliament. Yep. And so we saw Amanza Walton is here today. She was talking with the Poor People Governor, one Kelvin Allen. And Amanza was bringing the folks in this good country of ours up to speed with some of the issues involving Guyana internationally, some of the things that she's not so keen on where this government is concerned and what they're doing. And I like how she ran in the chest of Sister Singh. I love it, love it, love it. Y'all know the disgraced former CEO of GECOM, who they said did so well, then keep it on. They sent him as a suddenly ambassador from a sugar man to a foreign relations man. Yep, sent him as an ambassador to Belgium or someplace like that. And like he got plenty of work to do because says outside apparently now talking about things that are happening at GECOM. Talking about some things happening at GECOM. So we got that to contend with, folks. So as we enter into it, folks, as we enter into it, the opener, Amanza, on things foreign relation, and also touching on this jagabatical one. Jagabatical. Yep. The letter writer, ambassador. Take a look. Take a listen. Take a look. Good.
Well, look, no, we're not good. We're not good anywhere. My concern continues to be the transactional nature of our foreign affairs. It continues to be the fact that Todd appears out of his depth and that the government does not have a guiding national interest. It appears as though it's what Jagdeo on one day or Irfan wakes up another day and feels like doing that is what we do. And a nation certainly cannot be run in that manner. I'm deeply concerned that we do not have a handle on this migration issue. It is mind-boggling for me to see a government that refuses, and it is now to the point of refusal. This is not a point of incompetence anymore. There's a point in which, Kelvin, it moves from incompetence, that you can't do it because you don't know how to, and then it moves to you are unwilling to do it. And in my own view, this is where this government is. Because since anybody who has followed me since I started speaking in the National Assembly would recognize that from year one, I flagged the need for a migration policy, for a sound immigration regime. One that preserves the advantage for Guyanese. Because our country is now opening up. Everybody is running here. And so what are the benefits or the advantages that are carved out for me as a Guyanese citizen? that was born here, that lived here, that grew up here, that contributed to the development of this nation. And so, in the absence of a sound, thought out policy, you have the kind of confusion that you're seeing. I have also been very clear that we are in the crosshairs of every geopolitical issue that you could think about happening in the world right now. We are front and center in the crosshairs. And so we need to have a diplomatic corps and a cadre of diplomats who understand what the national interest is and who are able to act in that regard. Look, and I intend to take it up with the Ministry of Home Affairs. I noticed Says Narayan Singh, commenting yesterday by way of letter in the Stabrook News about Vishnu Prasad's fitness to be the CEO of GECOM. Now, I hope that it is not Says Narayan Singh, the disgraced former CEO of GECOM, that failed to turn GECOM around and who, irrespective of his failure, was appointed as an ambassador to Belgium and permanent representatives to all kinds of things and places. I hope it's not the same Says Narayan Singh commenting on partisan political matters, because he must understand that as a diplomat, that defies diplomatic decorum. As a diplomat, you are out there not to represent the PPP government. You are a representative of the people of Guyana. And so I hope it's not the same Says Narayan Singh that is the ambassador and that is writing in the newspaper and tarnishing the names of current employees of GECOM. Because I will not go into the details of why neutrality of a diplomat who is deployed on behalf of the country is extremely important. So there is that. And then, of course, we have the situation with the Venezuelan migrants and this government's refusal to foster a whole of community approach to dealing with this issue. This government wants to precipitate strife with Venezuelan migrants, between migrants and Guyanese. I am convinced that they want to precipitate strife because they want to be able to get up and say that people in the opposition who are talking about this, they're xenophobic, etc. This is why they are so deliberately divisive in their approach. I want to use the example of Linden and what has happened there. Are you from Linden? I'm from Linden.
Talk to us.
And so we understand what the injection of 600 to 800 people one time in our community could do, the way it could overburden our school system, the way it could overburden our healthcare system, the hospitals and schools, our ability for sanitation services, the strain that they will place on that. Now, instead of doing the right thing, this PPPC government, and going into Linden and engaging the authorities there, Hugh Todd runs up there with his usual bravado and his just disregard for anything proper and decent, and goes to engage the migrants without informing and incorporating the municipal and judicial authorities in his outreach, and then expects that Sharma Solomon mustn't say anything, and expects that Darren Adams must not say anything, and then tries to paint them as xenophobic when they do speak. When it is the role of government, if they are serious in the first place, to understand that you are dealing with a delicate situation. You are dealing with the situation of not only migrants, but you're dealing with a peculiar situation here, Governor, and that is because the Haitians, for example, don't feel that 2/3 of Guyana belongs to them.
Exactly.
Right? So that is the nuance that I think, is missed when we deal the migration issue, and I see you talking about integration, and I keep asking him, what do you mean by integration? Because there are degrees to integration, including political integration. And given the circumstances of the case, do you believe that political integration is the wisest choice right now? Because I could very well see a situation where people are deliberately sent here to lie as sleeper agents, the insertion of a fifth column into our country, and we integrate people into a political system, and then suddenly we don't want to be ruled by Guyana anymore. We want to be ruled by a certain other country. And so these are things that have actually happened in real life. But we have a government that is pig-headed and a government that is unable to really demonstrate a commitment to the people of Guyana.
That was the opener, folks. Welcome back. Welcome back. Amanzo Walton Desir, a Shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs and a number of issues. That was very important to get our views on that, especially when she ran in the chess. Ran in the chess, as Sister Ryan, folks. Ran in his chess, our very own. One and only Amanzo Walton Desir. Good to have her back on her feet after that recess. Good to have all our MPs back on their feet after that recess we had quite recently, folks. And as you wondering there, that was the opener. Good, folks. One and only Amanzo Walton Desir. We got the fight card, of course. Amanzo, some things that came out of my party of choice, folks. The beautiful alliance for change. Who vex? Party of choice. And then we got some wickedness, folks. We got some wickedness happening at WIM. As Amanzo was mentioning, what's happening there and the commentary of Thunderbolt, Ambassador Thunderbolt. Who don't know? Who know the story? Know the story. Ambassador Thunderbolt. That's what we say, man. That's what we say. We're learning today. Remember, I told you the PP complaining over and over about these elections cases, and when it was up to them to get the process started, they were the one shirking. They were the ones shirking, folks. We learned today that the acting chancellor of the judiciary, Justice Janet Cummins, she has ordered that acting chief magistrate Faith McGusty takes over these cases so that they can move forward. As you know, the magistrate who was looking at this, Liron Daly, has been sick for a couple of days, and them boys kind of informing all manner of things. All manner of things. I see one of the things Mr. Jagbio was saying is that he hopes that the evidence isn't compromised. He hoping the evidence wasn't compromised. You know, the Chief Justice had asked in the case with Anil Driver, who was his cousin, friends, family, and favorites. You remember the case? Let me see if some of y'all sharp. You remember the case? Come on now. You remember when he promised the Chief Justice he had the evidence. The day before the decision is handed down, he withdrew the matter. Chief Justice Lacey, I told you several times, I asked you. He said, yes, I got it. Don't waste the court's time. You remember the case, good folks? That was the Holiday case. Yep, Cycling Earl. Correct, Cycling Earl is on the ball. Cycling Earl is on the ball. The Holiday case. Right? You see, I line. Cycling, back him up here. The Holiday case. Jamal Aziz got into the Holiday case. Some of y'all shocked, man. Some of y'all shocked. Like Razor. You see, he got the evidence. Right? He was trying to show, even though the Chief Justice was telling him, you know, certain matters is for election petition, he wanted to show that, what's his name was Reagan. You see, Reagan. They say, you sure? Yeah, I got the evidence. Now, Jack Dio is worried about evidence being tampered with and compromised. You know what we know for certain? The wickedness they're doing in Lancaster, Liverpool. So, Magistrate Faith McGusty, acting chief magistrate, she takes over in this matter. Right? Wish her the best. We wish her the best. What we know as fact is the wickedness, as I said, that they're doing in Lancaster, Liverpool, where they're supposed to be moving, they want to put a canal in to irrigate some land. They're starting in Wim, diverging to Lancaster, Liverpool, destroying a whole set of farms there. And then, you know, that's the place they say, it was a mistake. We're digging in the wrong hole. We're digging out the wrong hole. It's a mistake. It's only PP don't know hole when they see it. They don't know hole. Jack Dio especially. Don't like hole. So in the wrong hole here in Lancaster, Liverpool. We're on the ground. Yesterday, listen to the farmers. Listen to just a couple of things they told us. On the ground with them. Listen to a couple of things. Lancaster, Liverpool.
There is Wim Village over there. So now, you see the Juka Pali? You see? See, this is the pal. You see now? You see the pal down here? They juk this pali. So, and then they're going to come across this way now and go with this blind trenchy for catch Lancaster Windward Trench. There is the pumping trench, pumping the water in for we get water over there. And this low side trench is the drainage trench for Lancaster. This trenchy is the drainage trench for Lancaster, this one here. And the other one in front is the one, the intake. You call it the intake, and this is the outlet.
So what area are we in specifically here?
This is Lancaster.
Lancaster, good.
And this dam is Wim and Lancaster Dam. Right? So they come up with the canal in Wim, all the way, and then they come here, and then they come across here, and they take this and go up and catch Lancaster wind side. That's the eastern side.
Why in your estimation is that the preferred route? As against coming straight through Wim, for instance?
Well, you ain't get a space. You see, all is transported right for Wim. These people, private property, all is transported right. And you see Lancaster forced them, second them, and third them.
Which means what to the ordinary person?
It means that up to the third depth is what belongs to the transport. And who gave the land in the first, second, and third depth entitled to the land at the back. There's like this party. You understand? The undivided rights. You understand? But over 200 and something years we get it like that. You understand? So I don't know how we can change now, all of a sudden.
So you're saying the canal is coming up to a point in Wim. And then it's heading through Lancaster.
Yeah, then through Lancaster. And then it take Lancaster wind side and Lancaster and Liverpool kitten to go to the foreshore.
Yeah. And then you said at some point they still got to come back over to Wim. I think I heard somebody saying that when you get out.
Outside? No. They're going to go across to Liverpool.
Go to Liverpool, don't catch back home to get your outfall.
And then they might dig the outfall because it's so been long ago. He had they go and come. He had a thing they call go and come. Lead from Liverpool, come to Lancaster, Milwaukee. To Lancaster, Milwaukee, and then go to the ocean. That's how it used to operate.
So why they make this change?
That is a good question.
The question is being asked, why this change?
Why this change? I don't know. Because there's the only government reserve they got. That's why they must. You want to change it like this. But I don't know why they're going Liverpool rice field. People private property.
But that is the point.
This party.
This blind
trenchy is the government reserve.
But the point is, the question has been asked. You said part of this land here is privately owned, but you're also saying part of Lancaster is privately owned too that they have to pass through. So what is the difference in just coming straight through here?
No, well, this is government private reserve. This is not here. This
fair enough, but at the part of Lancaster still is private. It's property you have to come through. Not so?
Private, yeah.
There's government owned. I don't mean call it private.
Part of Lancaster, if it's private, people got to pass through. Even though you got a reserve, still got to pass through the private.
Yes, you got to pass through.
So what is the difference between coming through private here and going through private at Lancaster?
No, you see here got the kitten. The kitten where they could have used is Klein and Wim kitten.
That's what we want to hear.
Right? The kitten where they could have used is Klein and Wim kitten. We're not else in there. You understand? There's where they're supposed to use.
And what is the challenge of not using there? Why
I don't know why they don't want to use it. Klein is an estate. There's a private estate. And then when they're coming from the savannah now, this trench where they're going to bring out here now in Wim, and this Wim side, we call it Wim side. The eastern side of Wim. The trench where they want to bring through this where we walking a canal, Canal.
Open canal.
Yes. This trench where they bring through, it got come from Letty side and come up, come here. Why you not take a clean and go to this ocean? You understand? Then I get no private property where they got go through. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. And they go do the same work. Go drain all over.
Yes.
You understand? They should go at whim. Let it take the Arcline. They ain't got no house down there. There's a big open place. They can drive all the way from, they can come from Kanji Creek right down to the foreshore.
Without any hindrance.
Without hindrance from anybody. Yes.
And that's what we're saying.
You understand? And then that turn, and then they got bust this dam and all kind of thing.
Here, use this
But
if
you look at it, it will cost more.
to divert.
You see, you divert from Wales to Liverpool, and then you're going to come across the back.
And then all we got to do, watch, let me tell you something. Now, this Black Bush Trench, link, you got a box there, a coker right down there. We carry this water straight to Letty Kenny.
Okay.
Right? And you link up to Wim, you link up to this trench link up to Lancaster, till to Adventure. This trench link up to.
Okay.
Right? And also link up Wim, Arcline, Letty Kenny, Broomfield, Jones.
Right.
That trench right down there. Right across it gone.
Right across.
So I don't know why. I don't know why they don't want to do it there. I don't.
If you look at this, right, according to my observation,
Yes.
right, if you take it, that would be a balance. If you continue with the area, you understand, it could be a balance between this area, right? It would be a balance between the two areas. If you decide to carry it out, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Right, according to my observation.
Balance meaning what?
Yeah.
The same.
The drainage, right? You won't get no kind of pressure on the side. You won't get pressure on the other side. Too.
No.
You see, yes, that's right.
Because it go
right.
be like
So you're going to smooth drainage in the area.
Kitten is already there. All they got to do take out the two dams, and then you will get the 4 doors to work.
Okay.
And then now they could drain Broomfield, Letty Kenny, Arcline, Wim, and it could drain Salton, Adventure, Salton, Alness, Alveston, Lancaster, Manchester, all same thing, just like on that side, because Arcline, the kitten is there already. Let them put the canal there. There's the most appropriate place.
We had a flood at Port Morant.
Yes.
And which if you put the canal at Wim, it's going to be more economical and more shorter for with Port Morant water. The drainage. With the Port Morant drainage.
Yep. Everything you can do.
Than to use it to Liverpool. But Port Morant is much more closer. Wim is much more closer to Port Morant than what we have in at Liverpool.
Yes.
So I believe they should divert it to Wim.
Yeah, they diverted to Wim.
Wim is okay. It's more closer to you.
They're not going to want to dig up Wim. Outside Lancaster is the area that they eat. Because they cannot win in this area, so they will come and destroy you.
Raphael, yes. The cat is already there.
They don't want to go there and trouble that. You trouble that, you're gone into the Indian area. This is outside Lancaster, is more black people area. Come and you take it away from them, destroy it. That is exactly because, but the sense you're going to put a canal there and you got to divert it, come back all the way back this side. Don't make any sense.
You know now if you attack and want to attack?
You don't want that, man. They don't like that. Because I used to work with drainage and irrigation. I know all about here. Because that's the reserve over there. There's a reserve that much stuff is going to take. Yeah. All of this land here was people land. All of this land, first and second dip, was people private land, and they take all. Yeah. They turn the land into what they call reserve. And then they take it and share it. Yeah. That's how it is.
Them thing that they work, they allow me work here.
Family favorite. Could you imagine a government takes away land from people in Liverpool, Lancaster, claim it is reserved land, and then they share it? And the folks that you heard from them, Wim is closer to bring this canal to where it needs to go. Wim is closer, but they're deliberately going through Liverpool, Lancaster. We're gonna have some more for the on that for you before we wrap up tonight, folks. We're gonna have some more on that for you. The folks in Georgetown complaining. Those of you using Lamaha Street into Millington Street there in Kitty Campbellville, complaining of this sharp turn into Middleton Street. A lot of folks are wrecking up the car in this bridge as they turn. You know, this is like the only country in the world. You got no study happening here, you know. They just building road going into bridges, and when the people turn, damaging the tires, damaging the vehicles, the sharp turn on the road there. The folks have been complaining, and now they make it you have to go straight instead of turning Vicinity into Lamaha. Going straight, this is going to make the traffic more efficient. You know, if it works, it works. But as you come now, Lamaha, you may turn from Vicinity into Lamaha, or come all the way over Lamaha, skip Vicinity Road, and you're heading up now to Millington. You want to make a left turn there onto Millington Street, wrecking up the vehicles. Come on, let me fix this, man. Could we fix this, Bishop? You didn't see this? I thought when you spread clean in this work is pick up things. As a bishop and a prophet and all these different things, just pick up. When you spit it clean, you pick up stuff. That's one of the things we're watching. And like anything else, you're on the Robeson sleeping long now. Robeson sleeping since day one. Since day one. But look what's happening. And yet another Chinese business, Chinese managed business, robbed today. That's part of what they're telling us. Robbed. Bandits moving through the city, through this town with impunity. I hasn't got no time. Robeson? Where's a Robeson? Huh? Where's a Robeson? What is a Robeson? So yet another folks, Chinese establishment. That's not to say other businesses aren't being robbed in this country. But yet another Chinese establishment robbed. How are Robeson doing? And let's come out and say, oh, we're sorry. That wouldn't do after a while. It just would not do. That's what we're saying. It just would not do. So that's one of the things we're looking at, folks. That's one of the things that we're dealing with. Sad to say. Very sorry to say. Right? This is on the Essequibo Coast. They tell us a Chinese restaurant on the Essequibo Coast at Reliance on the Essequibo Coast was robbed last evening by 3 masked men. Man, what need? Chicken fried rice. Now, I think $1,300. You know, come a long way. Reliance on the Essequibo Coast last evening, around 20-30 hours, 3 masked men with guns. Police said robbed a 48-year-old Chinese national and his wife, and who were eating when the perpetrators barged into their premises. Nothing is sacred anymore, you know. Touch a lot of things, but Chinese food, Chinese restaurant, that's like breaking into church to me. Nothing is sacred anymore. Nothing, nada. Nothing. Those are some of the things we're following, folks. And then they said this guy was at the Sparandam Magistrate Court. He escaped. Some folks are saying he left. Escape in this country. You got money, got bargain. They said be on the lookout for one Kevin Mohammed. He escaped from Sparandam Magistrates Court sometime today. Right? He was being brought before the court for simple larceny. And now he's an escapee. So be on the lookout for him. Kevin Mohammed. The authorities say, let us be on the lookout for him. Please and thank you. One of the other things we're following in the Saturn, and that's where we are now, Saturn events. Young lad, you know, I got 3 boys. Right? 3 boys. Our youngest is turning 4 tomorrow. He's turning 4 tomorrow. Right? And then next month, middle child, he's turning 9. And of course, John Pierre, our eldest, he turned 16 in August. So when I deal with stories like that, I feel it in my spine. In my spine, they're telling us this young man would have swallowed a thumbtack at school. Swallowed a thumbtack at school. And apparently the family was saying, had there been quick intervention by the school, he may have survived a thumbtack, swallowed a thumbtack while in the classroom. And apparently the school released video which shows that the boy was seen going to the teacher's desk and alerting her with a bottle of water. The teacher could be seen putting down her lesson book, according to news source reporting, could be seen putting down her lesson book and offering assistance. The child was rushed to the hospital where he died. This was quite recently. Our thoughts and prayers with this child. Our thoughts. I could imagine the anguish of a parent. Big people, elderly people die. You sometimes you know it coming and you're still shocked by it. You don't expect to send your kid to school. A thumbtack gets lodged in his throat and you don't know this is it. You don't know this is it. So our thoughts and prayers with the school, its classmate, the parents especially, our thoughts and prayers with them. They get the brunt of this. Handsome lad. Thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers with them. But it is what it is. That's what news sources reporting, that the video shows the young man approached the teacher rendered assistance, he was rushed to the hospital and succumbed. You may call this a freak accident. I don't know, a thumbtack. That's why you got to be so careful with kids. Constant supervision. I don't know. I come from the old school. I tell my wife this all the time. When I was growing up, when big people sleeping, you gotta go in your bed too. Right? 1 o'clock was rest time. Once you're home, 1 o'clock was rest time. You have to go and sleep. Yeah. Nighttime, your parents in your bed and you up. What? What them, sir? you sleeping, you up playing and your parents in bed. People do it differently now. But constant supervision of kids, constant supervision, folks. Our thoughts and prayers with the family, his classmates, his teachers, everybody. Thoughts and prayers with them. You all know the period we're heading into in this country? The campaign start? The campaign start. While we were finished talking with the farmers there at Lancaster, Liverpool, we went wrong in that community where Coretta McDonald is from, Liverpool in particular. That's Coretta McDonald's community. So she feels it acutely, what the farmers there are going through, the residents there who are farmers, what they're going through with that wrong hole PPP. Feels it. But this is the election season. We see them promising all manner of things. All manner of things. They're so fearful. You see it all the time. You hear it in their voices. The Attorney General, for instance, he's afraid. He said, biometrics, this thing here, might prevent me from voting if they get blackout. So 5 years after, we're in an election and we're supposed to be afraid of blackouts. That's why they shouldn't go back. He's telling you, don't vote back for we. Because we get blackout election day. Right? So we should be afraid of biometrics. And then in the last press conference of the PPP, we heard the Vice President apprehensive. He said this referendum, somebody's asking the question about whether you want a referendum on the issue of whether we should renegotiate. Right? And I'm surprised people let him lie with impunity. Number one, he said he didn't want to complicate the election process by adding a referendum. He didn't want to complicate it. He said, I want to get the opposition nothing to latch on to. He said, I want to complicate it. They're frightened bad. They are so afraid. So afraid. But then he goes on to say, let the parties put forward their manifestos and people vote on that. He goes on to say, in the 2020 election, we told the people we will not renegotiate the oil contract, and we did not do that. Lie. As a matter of fact, they told the members of the public, and you all know this, that they are going to renegotiate. The man lied so barefaced, telling this, it's right there in the manifesto. Renegotiation, right there. And lying today, like when horse trucking. How do you folks at Lancaster going to believe him? How do you folks at Liverpool are going to believe him? How? This election bringing out all the demons. All the demons. Fearful. So fearful. You know one of the things we heard today? The Lines for Change had a press conference. And one of the things the Lines for Change saying, let's have some cameras. Not in the polling booth, but in the polling place. Right? You know, you might have a room, and then you have the polling booth in that room. We want the thing in the polling booth, so we see who you're voting for. But you must be able to see how many people come in. Leader of the Lines for Change, Nigel Hughes makes the point. You might say 100 come in. When you check the camera, you only see 25. You only see 25. Maybe it's time. Y'all believe in biometrics last year. This year, you disagree. Last month, you believe in $200,000 per household. This week is 100,000. People frightened to get it next week. Fearing it could be 25,000 by next week. Nigel Hughes of the Alliance for Change. He said, let me put some cameras in the polling places. Lots of cameras being installed now. But in the polling places, you can hear and oh God, blackout. If you got blackout, you mightn't see how many in there, and then that's a problem. That's a problem. Nigel Hughes, Alliance for Change.
Whatever your views are on GECOM, GECOM is constituted of 7 commissioners who speak on behalf of the commission, which is vested with the statutory authority to manage elections in this country. Sadly, we have a long history of the poor management of elections in this country, and I'm unaware of a single election that has not been challenged by some political party or the other. After 60 years of independence, and after 1992, we should at least by now have worked out a system which will deliver fair, credible results acceptable to all political parties, not acceptable to one or the other. And if we as a country cannot arrive at a position where our institutions can deliver results which are broadly accepted, we are in a difficult place. Because if we cannot even manage the process by which we identify those who will govern us for the next cycle, then it means that we are always going to be in a state of perpetual crisis. And worse than that, if we continue to have results that are not accepted across the board, we will create, unfortunately, the incentives for substantial parts of this country to disrupt the good governance of the country over the cycle of elections. They will have no trust, no confidence, and therefore their conduct may well be incentivized towards other acts of disruption. I just merely wish to go back to when the good leader of the opposition in the 1970s, Dr. Chetty Jagan, was alive. You had several incidents of burning of sugar. You had several incidents of sabotage. And at the time, the government of the day said that this was based on an attempt to derail the economy. So whenever you choose to pick your era, you cannot have parts of this country that don't accept the results. Now, the commissioners, 3 out of 7, 3 commissioners complained about the hiring process that GECOM was undertaking. And I dare say, again, my good friend Beverly this afternoon played a clip in the words of the current General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party, specifically saying that he had a difficulty with the hiring process of GECOM under the chairmanship of Dr. Serge Badi. So this just demonstrates that whether you are in government, out of government, GECOM has had a perpetual problem and has never at any stage had the confidence of the population in relation to their operations. It is the same General Secretary who, in that clip that you heard, spoke about fair systems, spoke about enhanced biometrics. Now, I would have thought, as we now have the wealth that we have, and we are aspiring to become a modern democratic society, that the least we could do is, since the General Secretary said so 15 years ago, or however long it was, and we are saying so now, we want enhanced biometrics, we want a new list, we want fair systems of hiring, then let us get together and identify the process, since all of us have made this allegation at some stage, that will give us enhanced biometrics, a fair system, and will give us a voting list which is acceptable to all parties. The alternative is very clear. If we go into an election in which there are grave doubts about the list, grave doubts about the verification of the voters, we are laying the foundation, for difficulties after the election. And I say to our international friends, the Americans, the British, the Canadians, the Europeans, the Caribbean states, and everybody else, that you issue a report after the 2020 disaster in which you said there should be a new list. We are saying here that whether you listen to us today or whether you listen to the current General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party on the recording, we need a credible election. You know from your experience in other parts of this world that where there are difficulties with lists, that you're building the foundations, if you haven't constructed them already, for difficulties. And one of the additions that we would like to offer, that perhaps there need to be cameras not in the voting booth, but in the polling station. So that when somebody says 100 people turned up and the camera shows that only 25 people turned up, then we have some credible independent evidence that says how many people turned up. So if the people coming into the polling station as recorded on those cameras is less than the number of people who have voted in the polling station, then we begin to have a crisis long before we count the votes. And since all of us are committed to finding an election that is properly run and consistent with international standards, then let's add to the list to make sure that it is even more credible. Let us make sure we have cameras out there so we could see how many people come in. So that when people declare that you got 100 people voting and the cameras only show that 25 people enter the polling station, that we have difficulties, and we can address that, because I'm not sure that many people would defend that. And I thank you. I might have gone on a little long, but I thank you for the indulgence. Whatever your views are on GECOM.
Yep. We got problems. We have problems. Today, folks, the People's National Congress reform called for the sacking of the chairman of GECOM, Khalid Singh, of course, said she has been participating hook, line, and sinker like a PPP commissioner and not like a chairman of the Ghana Elections Commission. Votes with them, hook, line, and sinker. How many times in the last 5 years, 4 years, have you seen the chairman of the Ghana Elections Commission speaking about the work of the commission, how they're progressing, how they're strengthening the system? If they claim the system attempted rigging, they don't even know themselves how they lie so much, how the allegation, so much. They don't even know their own self. How often have you seen her in the public's eye? Not very often. I think 3 times. From 2020 election to now, 3 or 4 times. I don't think it's more than 3. We have seen the chairwoman, the head honcho. Folks, the rigging of the 2025 elections already started. Putting in their preferred people. We saw them gerrymandering the boundaries. We've spoken about all of this. amending the Deaths and Births and Deaths Act. All this we spoke about. Sharing out birth certificates Wild West in this country. And now buying the votes. Plain and simple. Buying it. But if we got to vote on issues, you don't know about it going back. That is why they got to rig it. That's why they don't want biometrics. That's why they don't want a referendum on whether or not we should renegotiate. Morbidly afraid. If we got to vote on, if people vote on issues, as we should, as Americans are going to be voting on issues on Tuesday coming, them boys ain't going back on GECOM. For the year, the target for the year already revised. It is already a low number because we got to set the bar low for the PPP, of course. It's already a low number, revised. And of that low target for the year, they've only met 39%. $9 billion we've spent on sugar and sugar production for the year. For $9 billion of the revised production target, 39%, 39. So if you vote for them on the management of the sugar industry, they're out. They're out like so. Kimran Ramjitan telling us what's happening with the sugar industry.
The AFC notes the recent pretended alarm which GAU has sounded over the below target sugar production of GECOM. Indeed, sugar produced thus far is less than 40% of the reduced target for 2024, that target being 100,000 tons. GECOM produced just 6,738 tons for the first crop out of a 37,000 tons target. And so far, 25,000 tons for the second crop with 2 months to go. This second crop was targeted to produce 63,000 tons. All the chatter which came from former PPP appointed CEO Sesnarayan Singh early this year that GECOM will realize increased sugar production in 2024 by expansion of acreage, retooling, and mechanization was just poppycock and propaganda. When the PPP realized it was fooled, and even they realized that SES had fooled them, it sent SES Singh off to Brussels and then brought one of its loyalist activists, Mr. Chung, as the replacement. The sugar industry suffers fundamental problems which cannot be solved by replacing CEOs nor fooling Guyanese about expectations of the hollowest order. The loans taken for the Skeldon project, probably the worst ever investment since independence, and argued for by Bharat Jagdeo, no other than Bharat Jagdeo, is costing taxpayers $3.8 million US per year minimum. This burden will run at a minimum until 2033. Additionally, subventions to GECOM from the PPP government this year alone stands at $9.2 billion. Since the PPP's coming to office in 2020, an approximate sum of $43 billion has so far been inputted into that corporation. So the sweet talk of improvement in production was thus all hollow. The intent was to create great expectations for its support base and to perpetuate massive misspendings and corruption in the sector. The AFC repeats that sugar has been dying since Guyana lost her preferential prices to the European market when the WTO ruled that preferential prices violated open market competition rules. Our cost of production is and will be double the price we sell for. And the workforce is diminishing because the next generation wants nothing to do with this back-breaking work in a hotter climate. Forcing our young men and women into such an working condition will only result in, as we have argued before, intergenerational transmission of poverty. And to throw good monies into this unprofitable sector is bad economics. GAU's future as a union is under threat too. The union must be aware that mechanization, just like right sizing, will mean a reduction of its union dues. And so it will do everything to see its parent body, the PPP, pour subventions upon subventions to keep the industry in the scale it wants it. And by a similar logic, to keep GAU alive. What this means, that is, this threat to its financial existence, is that GAU cannot take a principled, prudent stance as to the future of the sugar sector. And so it will shed crocodile tears as it recently did. Thank you very much.
Yep. Throwing good money but bad industry. Wickedness. Nothing short of it. Wickedness. So let us end where we start, folks. Let us end where we start. Liverpool, Lancaster, as I said to you, this is the village of Member of Parliament, Coretta MacDonald. She's also the General Secretary of the Ghana Teachers Union. This is where she grew up. Liverpool, Lancaster. Some of the folks we spoke to, her friends, her family, fellow villagers, her auntie, her uncles. And the PPP want to destroy their livelihoods. As we wrap up there in Liverpool, Lancaster, we spoke to the MP as well about some of these very issues, folks. Some of these very issues. Wickedness. Total wickedness in the PPP. Total wickedness in the PPP. The closer, folks. The MP, Coretta MacDonald.
Well, you know what is transpiring here, Sherrod, is the fact that in this area, the Lancaster, Liverpool, Manchester, Ulverston, Alness, well, Little Alness, we call it, and Big Alness, and you go all the way up to Hoxtile and so on, Limnere and Kildone and Nurney. These areas are predominantly APNU AFC strongholds. And what the PPP is trying to do here is to create another hunger situation where the people here will have to come to them to beg for bread. We have, like we said, this is the Wim Dam, and we are seeing the canal right at the back there where they can come straight through, break here, and come straight through, use this same span here to create the Hope Canal, wherever they want to call it. And they're not planning to do that. They're not going to destroy what is happening in Wim there. This is Wim Dam. They are not going to continue to do that, but they want to come here to affect the people who live here. And you know what? Look, as we go out, you're going to see all the rice lands that are already prepared. And the canal that they're talking about, it's running north to south. It will cut through all of those rice lands and cut them in half. So then it means if I have a plot of rice land and half is taken away, then I barely have another half. The monies I will have to spend to sow paddy, to spray fertilizer, and then to harvest at the end of the day, it's not going to suffice. I'll spend more to do the little that I have to do. And we're saying it would make better sense for you to use the dam that you're seeing there, the trench, the canal that is coming down there. Use that one and come all the way here. Use all this space here rather than diverting, and then you have to divert again, and then you'll have to have another diversion. It is clearly saying there's absolutely no plan to ensure that progress happens here, but there's a plan to destroy. So we're having the repeat again of another Mocha Arcadia and another Peters Hall.
A lot of folks say when the minister did eventually come here, they didn't like the disposition, the way he tried to manhandle them, and a situation that they did not create.
Well, Sherrod, you would know. That's the modus operandi of the PPP. That's how their ministers operate. We just had the scene with the scenario, the situation, whatever we want to call it, with Charles Ramson Jr. and Mr. Thumb. We just saw the arrogance in them. We've seen it with we had the full display of what's his name, Nigel Dharamlal, when he was minister. We've seen Priya Manik-Chan operate the same way. We've seen almost all of them operating the same way. As a matter of fact, we've seen the display of the president when he went to some areas and he asked, where's the engineer, and how he speaks to people. So this is their regular operation. That's how they intend to deal with people, especially persons who are prepared to oppose them, persons who are prepared to ask questions and to demand answers. That's the way they feel that they can operate, by instilling fear, by intimidating you then. And then getting away from the issue and giving you the kind of attitude that is undeserving of serving ministers. And this has got to stop.
Greta, this is a very interesting situation here.
Very much so.
Do you think, as you said, Irfan moves around and so on, we'll see him here coming to address these folks?
Well, I would be very happy if for him to come here to address the folks, because I've seen him gone to Blackbush. I remember when we had the flooding, he passed all the way here where farmers and those who planted cash crops and those who had cattle, he passed them and he went further on. And they had to demand at one point that he stop. And when he stopped there, he was only prepared to spend 2 minutes or 5 minutes to talk with the residents there. And yet, some of them are still waiting for the relief. Some of them are still waiting, like those who are holding the pink slips. Some of them are still waiting for the relief. And so we are seeing clearly a plan to demonize, a plan to starve, a plan to take away value from a certain grouping of people. And there's another plan to uplift another group of people. Now, I'm sure you saw all the land we've seen coming down this way.
Correct.
Why isn't there any plan of putting a housing scheme somewhere along this line here? Because we've got lots and lots of people living in this area, lots of young people. Why haven't we decided that we're going to put a housing scheme somewhere coming along the line here? Fix the road. But if I take you to other areas, you're going to see what is happening there. Well done asphalted roads. And in some areas, you barely got a couple of houses there, but the roads are well done. But again, this is Lancaster, Liverpool, Manchester, Ulverston, Alness, the Hochstyle area, which is not the people who would vote for them. So that's their plan, to create joblessness, if there's such a word like that. That's their plan, to ensure that the people here don't have a livelihood anymore. That's the plan.
I heard the phrase used, they intend to destroy as against really and truly developing.
Yep. Because if you're going to destroy we've seen it where they destroyed mango trees, coconut trees, lime trees. The people had their cherry trees, all bearing fruit trees, and those were destroyed without even consulting the people. And so you cannot be talking about development and you're destroying what is already there. Now, even if the minister, like I'm hearing the minister said, he would get married to bring plants and give to the people. Those plants are baby plants and it will take a time for them to grow. But what the people had there were bearing fruit trees. You've seen the coconuts, the stumps from the coconut trees, the branches, the young coconuts there. I mean, is that development? That can be, destruction can be development. We picked tamarind and so on there. We saw how many sucker trees and so on.
Yeah.
And this is disgusting. I am hearing the folks talking about them asking for the canals to be desilted. Long ago, they're asking for the canals to be desilted. Nothing has happened to date. I'm hearing the mayor of New Amsterdam saying that he was asking for tours of those machines to do some work in New Amsterdam. To date, nothing. But you're finding time to come here to destroy what the people are having here.
Where is out here?
Right out here.
Correct. Let's talk about a couple of issues as I have your attention. The 800-pound elephant, as they say, in this country here is racism, and we don't want to deal with it. If this isn't about racism, Coretta, it isn't about that. How come we don't see this kind of thing anyplace else? You talked about Cane View Mucker, you talked about Peters Hall, Lancaster, Liverpool. How come we never run into this problem in 4 years in no other area? Even if you don't want to say it's racist, just always a mistake. It's accidental. It's incidental to the plans of the government. It is always one set of people, as it were, who are always caught up in this?
Again, let me say to you, regardless of how we want to try to hide this or to cover it up, well, cover up and hiding is the same thing. But despite how much we want to put it aside and not to talk about it, it is there, staring us in the face, and we can't run away from it. You look at the people, come to Liverpool, come to Lancaster, come to Manchester, come to Ulverston and Alness, and you look at the people who are living there. You have a little bit of mixture because of marriage, but the majority of the people who live here are Afro-Guyanese, and this is the aim of the PPP to destroy. When we saw the people's the Corlettes with their cow pen down there, if the guys weren't there, the machines would have bulldozed their cow pen without even saying anything to them. And so every time these things are happening, it cannot be a mistake. Mistakes don't mistake once, yes, but a mistake 2 times and 3 times, it's a habit.
Yeah.
It's what we want to do, and this is what they sit and they plan to do. And this has got to come to an end. We cannot continue to hear the president talk about one Guyana and one Guyana and one Guyana when a certain grouping of people are treated differently.
Because
this is racism. This is saying to the people, you either join us or you're going to suffer. Simple as that.
Because the fact remains, I was trying to get out from the guy about the lands and the ownership and so on. Here is private lands in Wim. You have private lands in Lancaster, Liverpool. And this dam, this Hope Lake Dam has to come through.
Has to come through there, yes.
Whichever way you look at it. So what is the difference? And you're actually coming in a straight line here in Wim, diverting from Wim, heading to Lancaster, Liverpool. And then when you pass through that area there, disrupting the livelihoods of the folks there, you still got to circle back to head back.
You still have to head back out there.
So it's
right here where we are, if you look over here, these lands belong to the people of Lancaster and Liverpool. But you know what? These lands were taken away from them. They have been rented now to farmers from Blackbush. The land right over here that you're seeing.
Wow.
It's rented to persons from Blackbush. And the people in Lancaster and Liverpool can't have access to their lands. And is that a mistake too? Is that another mistake?
You don't want to talk about race.
Is that a mistake too?
Talk about ethnicity. But the thing is so glaring sometimes, looking at you in your eyes.
Yes, that's it. This land here that we're looking at over here, this particular land belongs to the people of Liverpool, but it is being rented to farmers from Blackbush. Way beyond there is Blackbush polder, where they have farmlands. And all the land that you're seeing here was rented to someone from Blackbush. That can't be fair. Why is it, if this is government reserve, but this is ancestral land again. We have government reserve on that side. And if you're saying that you cannot occupy government reserve, and if you want to claim this to be government reserve, then it should not be taken away from one group of people and given to another set.
All the time, it has always been in the possession of this village here.
Of this village.
Lancaster, Liverpool.
Yes.
And then suddenly it's reserved. And it's not only reserved as reserved, it is given to
somebody else to plant.
To plant. Wow. And it's not racism, it's not discrimination, it's not marginalization.
No, it's not.
It's just the way things are
it's development.
In one Guyana.
It's progress.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so much.
You have a good one.
Yeah, that's going to do it for us, folks. That is going to do it for us. Couldn't add anything else at this point. Couldn't add anything else. Those are the facts of the matter, folks. Until we see you guys next week, stay safe. That's our time. Thanks for being here with us each and every day, except yesterday. That was the holiday, folks. Thanks for being here with us. That's our time. That's our program. Share the live, folks. Smash the emoji button. We're out of here. Have a great weekend, guys. Great weekend. Once you come in the 5 minutes, stay safe. That's the last bell.